I was getting so much engagement, and that's when I started hitting like the 200, 300, 400,000 threshold.
And that's nothing today. Now it's
yeah,
crazy.
That's nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I'm like,
a
oh,
failure.
you only have 400,000, loser. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Greg Grunberg, and welcome to Talk About It, the podcast where we focus on topics that everybody should be talking about, and hopefully they will be. Not only talking, but screaming about.
Epilepsy shouldn't keep you from doing anything that you want to do.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
While we will continue our focus on epilepsy, of course, we will also look at other health conditions and causes. Our goal is to knock down, drag out, and eliminate stigma and raise awareness. Each episode, you're going to hear from amazing advocates and champions. You will learn, as I will, about how we can all help to make a real difference.
Talking about it is important. It's all about connecting.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Thank you for talking about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
Talk About It is sponsored by Seizures Are Signs. Seizures Are Signs is dedicated to educating those living with or caring for someone with uncontrolled seizures about the importance of early diagnosis, recognition, and treatment. To learn more, please visit seizuresaresigns.com. Seizures Are Signs is made available by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. All right, so let's jump right into this episode of Talk About It. Welcome to another episode of Talk About It. This one I'm super excited about. I've been wanting to have this person on as a guest for so long. I'm a massive fan of her on social media. On all the platforms, she's irreverent, she's funny, she's sarcastic, she's hilarious, so smart. She's a stand-up comedian, which is a whole new thing she's doing, but her content is so great. If you're not following Stanzi Potenza on all of the platforms, you need to be doing that, especially on TikTok, especially on Instagram. But she has a way of being incredibly relatable, so hilarious, taking situations. She's a great actor, which you'll see, which we talk about. Anyway, I've been wanting her as a guest on the show for so long because in addition to all of her funny content that she puts out, she also talks about having epilepsy and her seizures and what it's like to be a young woman in the world dealing with that. I absolutely love her. We got her in the studio. She's so gracious with her time. You are going to love her too. Check out this episode of Talk About It with me talking about it with Stanzi Potenza. Okay, I got you. I got you in the studio. I'm so excited. First of all, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, please. Are you kidding me? And you know, obviously in the intro that I just did that I haven't recorded yet, people hear how I just absolutely adore you. I think you are so freaking talented, dude.
Thank you.
I've been doing this a long time, and there's a lot of shtick. There's a lot of people that can put a camera in front of their face and, you know, occasionally be funny, or, you know, I'll watch videos, and I'm sure you're the same way. But you'll see somebody be like, oh, like that, they did it for a little bit. And then it's that consistency, that authenticity, that staying real. And your acting is really good.
Thank you.
Like really, really good. So talk to me about, because when you walked in, I was like, well, you're not used to working with somebody because you shoot with yourself.
Yeah.
You conversation with yourself all the time. Take me through that process. How does that happen? How do you shoot these videos?
Yeah, it was really awkward when I first started doing it.
Yeah. Here, let me move this down so that
For the short person.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the OG. You're what would the initials be for? You're not short.
I'm short.
You're not short.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have like a couple of more inches on me right now because I'm wearing like platform.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So I have like at least another 2 inches added to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get that a lot actually when people like see me in person or they like find out how tall I am. They're like, oh, I just thought you would be taller. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
I never thought about it before, and now all of a sudden.
I actually get the opposite. People see me and they go, I didn't realize you were so tall, because they just expect some like, you know, guy who's like a little bit more. I don't know. It's just weird. But we balance out. Okay, so take me through the process of these videos, because they're well shot, they're well acted, they're really well written. Do you write them out? Is it improv? I mean, clearly they're written.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you have an idea. Where does the idea come? Take me at the beginning.
Well, I have a background in theater. So like my whole family was doing theater when we were like young, like when we were kids and stuff, because my mom got back into it after her and my dad got divorced. So we started doing community theater with her. And then I really took to it. So then I majored in theater in college. So I was like studying theater.
Where did you grow up?
Boston.
Oh, in Boston?
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love Boston.
Boston's great.
And were you doing theater in elementary school, like always, throughout?
So we started doing it together as a family when I was like 5. So like
your family. So your parents are both actors?
Not my dad. So my mom started getting back into theater because she had done it when she was younger. She was more into singing. Like we have a lot of singers in the family.
Oh.
So she was doing like musical theater because she really liked that. So then we all did like a Christmas Carol together. Me and my 2 of my sisters and my mom, we did theater together.
And you're how old at this point?
27.
No. How old?
How old was I then? I was 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had done it together.
So you wouldn't get fed unless you were singing with mom.
Yeah. No. It was like it was one of those things, and it was like they would give you. Like uppers, to keep you awake,
right.
Just like
Any
Judy
good
Garland.
Stage mom.
Yeah.
So your mom pounds you with go-go juice.
Yeah, yeah. So I was able to keep up with it, So my other 2 sisters, they liked it, but it wasn't like their thing.
Yeah.
But it was definitely my thing.
Right.
So and we had done we were also going to like theater camp and stuff like during the summer.
I love that.
Yeah. Which was great because we got to meet like so many cool people and like just. It was very, it was like it really unlocked a lot of like creative, stuff. And then I went to theater school. Like I went to school to like study theater.
Mm-hmm.
And then.
Were you auditioning for like commercials and plays and things?
I was doing background work on like film. Like, so I was doing.
Tell me, what did you?
Yeah. So I did background work on. The first one I did was this like Vince Vaughn movie called what was it called? Business. It was like Unfinished Business, I think it was called, or something like that.
Okay.
And that was cool. So I got to work with or just be around him and like Dave Franco and like Nick Frost and stuff. So it was like a cool.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
group of people.
yeah. So that was like the first time I had ever done like background work, and then right
there
after
it is.
that. Oh yeah. So I was.
Where's your name? How come your name
I know,
is
right?
Right. All these guys really, really funny. Did you? And how old were you at that point?
I think I was 18. I was probably 18 or 19. Yeah.
So did you? Because I like background when we're working in background, and I'll start talking and like, were you like, all right, I'm gonna try and get a line here, or I'm gonna try and
It was like I knew that wasn't the way to like make it, so I was just kind of like there. I just wanted to sort of like be on set and experience like what it was like to be on set.
Yeah.
But like there were moments where they would take me and be like, okay, you're gonna be like like a featured extra or something in this like little scene. So it was like Vince Vaughn like handing me like a beer or something. I was like, this is so weird. And then immediately
you're not allowed
after,
to say anything as an extra.
You're just kind of like you're just cool like. Yeah. And so it was like I did that for 2 days, and then immediately after I was on another set called it was for a movie called The Good Kids, and that had like Nick Vaughn from Succession.
Wow.
Yeah, and like
all the Vaughns you've worked with.
all of the I'm just collecting them. Yeah. That's my ultimate goal.
I think she's in their contract. Any Vaughn. You're
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It was great. It's obviously like very long hours, and as like a freshman in college, that was like. It was a lot. So I missed so many days of class because I would be like doing this, but it was interesting. Yeah. And I knew I needed more experience working on like the film and television side, because that's what I was wanting to be involved with more rather than theater.
Right.
So I kind of did that throughout college a little bit. I ended up I got to do some like stand-in work too, which was interesting because that's just like a little bit of a step up from being an extra.
It's interesting though, because it's like, it's hard to be an extra.
Yes.
It's hard to be a stand-in. And people don't really, they're like, oh, come on. Dude, everybody's got their job on a set.
Yeah.
And the best ones aren't climbing. They're like, this is what I want to do. And they become really, really good at it. And then they work, what? What are you laughing at?
I was extra on a movie called Foxcatcher that was Steve Carell and Channing Tatum.
Oh, wow.
Like a wrestling. It was a drama.
Yeah.
And I just was finding the camera I was the worst extra. I kept creeping into the shot.
So in ADR and looping, that's when the loopers are like, I'll get that guy. And you have to like overact looping because you're making faces. You're like the conversation in the background like this, like who talks with
Wardrobe
their hands up?
came to change my jacket because I was standing out too much because I kept coming into the
Oh
frame.
my God!
Like I'm not going to spend a whole day here without like it being on camera.
It's so funny. The interesting thing that I would think with you is you're just overqualified at that because you come up musical theater and going to theater camp and you're studying it and then you went to school for it. Yeah, so like this was just but the experience of being on a set like that they cannot teach you.
No.
Don't you think? Like you can take an acting class all you want, but to know that the actor opposite you is not going to say it the way you heard it last night when you were memorizing your line. You got to be flexible. You got to be nimble. So it's just good to be on set.
Yeah, it's good to like know
experience.
like how many cameras there are around you or like
Totally.
And I never had any experience with like film and television stuff, so that was like it was important for me if I wanted to be involved in that one day to like have experience of like working on set. And also like even though it can suck sometimes because it's like really long hours and they're always like, yeah, let's just do this like one more time, and that's like 16 times later, you're still at it for not a lot of money. And also like sometimes, especially in Boston with it being like so cold on different times we were like filming, it sucks, but you meet a lot of cool people and have a lot of like interesting experiences doing stuff like that. So that was just like an added thing with that. But I think one of the best experiences I had in college was like not just doing the acting stuff and like doing like theater competitions or whatever. It was like I took a playwriting class, and I think that's what really helped with what I do now.
Yeah.
Was because like I knew that I was funny like performing other people's lines, but I didn't know if my words were funny, if that would translate. So I took a playwriting class and was able to like, I would have like people perform my stuff in front of the class and like people were laughing and liking the stuff that I was writing. So I was like, oh, this was like the validation that I needed to know that I can write funny. And that's I think
boss bitch.
Yeah.
Just you don't need to wait for the phone to ring. I mean, it just tells you that you can create. This is what I tell people. I'm like, if you want to be an actor, I mean, Nick's a perfect example. He's an incredible musician, and he doesn't sit around and wait for someone to go, hey, will you? He's making his own stuff, and you have to today.
Yeah, you really do.
I mean, I'm sure you get asked all the time, like, wow, because you're so successful what you do, that people are like, how do I do what you're doing? It's like, dude, figure it out.
Yeah, you just have to start doing it.
I get asked all the time. I'm like, I don't know. If you're doing this to be famous, if you're doing this to make money, if you're doing, it's never going to work. You have to do it because you love it.
Yeah.
So now you took a playwriting class. Did you realize and have an appreciation for how hard that is? Because it's not easy.
It's not. It's like a lot of people ask, like, do you just like write and just like laugh at all these things that you're writing? I'm like, no, it's like I'm actually it's very serious and sometimes miserable.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, I don't know if they're going to think that's funny, or I don't know if this is going to land, or this is going to be like understood. And usually it is like, and I'm like, okay, great. But like you don't have like, I don't know, like instant gratification. You have to wait for it to be like a finished product after you worked so hard on it to then present it to other people and then see if it works or not, because like it might work in my head, but
dude, we need 2 hours. I'm telling you, because this is fascinating. We haven't even talked about epilepsy. This is fascinating. It's so true. People just do not get it. It might work in your head. It might work on paper. Everything has to click. That's why people like you'll go to a movie. I don't know what that Vince Vaughn movie was like, but like couldn't be more talented people in the movie. And that wasn't a huge hit, that movie, right?
No.
And you're like, why?
Yeah.
Because everything has to line up. It all has to work.
Coming up on Talk About It.
Because I would like work in the morning and then I would go to class in the afternoon. Because at night I would be like rehearsing for like shows that I was in.
Yeah.
Sleep just wasn't an option. I had one like grand mal seizure every month of my first year.
Man, Stanzi is so awesome. So awesome. I love talking about the filmmaking process and the creative process with somebody who's just coming up, because it's a generational thing. And people today like Stanzi, who are making incredible content online, are doing it in a way that's very different from when I came up, through Felicity and Alias, Lost, Heroes, all these shows. It's a much more arduous, slower process. But as you have just heard, there's a lot of similarities. But as an actor, it's so funny because as I'm on the set, I have one audience member, and that is the director. I want to make that director laugh, right? Or cry, or get emotional, or be happy with my performance. If I can get that person to give me a thumbs up and say, cut, great, then I've won. I've done it, right? A lot of times I'll do something to ad nauseum to where I want the crew to laugh. And then the crew laughs harder and harder. And my buddy JJ and other filmmakers have always told me, the audience is only going to see it one time. So as soon as you get it, make a decision to say, we got it, we nailed it, and move on, and trust that people are going to feel it the same way that you put it out. That's all you can do. And hopefully it lines up that way. Stanzi is, she's more in control of her destiny creatively because she does it all. She shoots it, she acts it, she edits it, she puts it out at the right time to the right amount of people. It's amazing. I am so just in awe of everything that she's doing. All right, anyway, let's get back to my unbelievably exciting interview with Stanzi Potenza. Was it a learning curve for you at first? You were writing for yourself at that moment, or you weren't doing this yet? You weren't doing videos?
So I was writing just for different characters. I had like other actor friends in that class that in my head I was like casting almost so I'd be like, oh, like Vanessa would be really good for reading for this role that I'm currently writing.
But isn't that good to write for somebody? Because then you have a voice in your head.
Exactly.
And how long form were you writing? Was it scenes?
So yeah, it was like we started doing like little like short just a couple of pages, and then we did a 10-minute play, and then we did one act. So that was like a half hour, and the half hour one that I wrote wasn't necessary. It was kind of like funny and sad. So it left people kind of being like, Jesus, but also like having like funny moments in that.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Any horror movie, you have to laugh.
I love like having something that's like bittersweet where you're kind of like mixing in these two emotions. I think adding the humor to something that's sad makes it like 1,000 times sadder.
And relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about epilepsy for a second. We have to joke.
Oh, yeah.
I have to, Jake, the whole family, but Jake, his brothers, whatever, we have to sometimes just be like, well, why don't you drive, Jake? And we make a joke about it because he's not driving right now. So it's just whatever. So back then, when did you start having seizures?
I was 15.
You're 15.
Yeah.
So when you worked on that film, your first film as an extra, this is something that Jake deals with is, his godfather's J.J. Abrams, and I'm in the business and stuff. And I'm like, Jake, come, and you got to be on set at 6 a.m.
Yes.
Extras got to be there extra early for, let me see what dress you brought, or your hair, whatever. It's makeup and hair, like everybody. How did that work? Because it's not easy. You got to get your sleep.
Yeah. And that's the trigger for me is like sleep deprivation. A lot of people think it's like flashing lights and stuff, but that's like, some people have a reaction to that.
Jake isn't.
I'm fine. I'll literally be in a room full of strobe lights and just be like, yep, we're just...
Love it.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that experience where, have you ever had a seizure on a set?
I haven't had a seizure on a set. There was a set that I was working on where they told us that they were going to be using flashing lights, and I was kind of like, I don't have a reaction to lights, but
Just in case.
And they were like, yeah, because I think they wanted to make sure that nothing happened anyway. So, like, I spent, like, the whole day on set just getting paid to, like, hang out.
Yeah.
Which I was like, this is fine.
I know, but I'd want you. You just get it, man. You get it. And you're fun and you're a nice person. You want people like that on set. So I get it. Like, they're not going to send you home. They're like, yeah, to hang out, whatever.
Yeah. I guess there are the extras that want to be, like, seen by the camera. And then there's me who's like, I want to get paid to not do anything. And that's, like, that's the real American dream.
Exactly. That's without the A. That's the American dream.
That's the American dream.
American dream, baby. That's so funny. Okay, so all right. So you're doing this extra work. You're not shooting content yet.
No.
When did that start?
That was like a COVID thing. Yeah.
That recently?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It was right before COVID started.
What is your nickname? Is there a nickname? Do people call you anything?
No, I guess my name technically is like a nickname. So
Stanzi.
Yeah.
And that is your real name? Mm-hmm. Stanzi Potenza.
Yeah.
It's a great name. It like rolls off the tongue.
Thank you.
It is. It's great. So you, up until COVID, you were just auditioning. Were you out here?
No, I was still in Boston.
Okay.
I had just gotten back from. I was in New York for about 7 weeks because I was doing a 6-week intensive at this place called William Esper Studios, which is like a really good like acting studio, which was great. I had like a really awesome experience there.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they invited me back for their 2-year program. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I went back to Boston and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to save up as much money as I can. I was working minimum wage, so I was like, I'm going to try to save as
And
as
stayed
much.
at home?
Yeah, I was living with my mom still, my mom and her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to try to like save up as much as I can to move to New York and then do the whole like, I'm doing waitressing, going to class, and then auditioning and trying to get seen by like agents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually had, after 4 years of not having a seizure, I had a seizure in October of 2019. And I was like, oh, man. So, like...
By the way, what was your first seizure? How did you have your first seizure?
At
15?
Yeah. I was getting ready for school, and then I woke up in a chair.
So do you find that you have seizures going from sleep to wake?
Yes.
Damn.
So, like, within, like, usually the first, like, half hour of waking up, it's kind of like...
It's your body... I mean, who knows? I don't know what your doctor tells you, but for us, it's like this coming out of REM. It's like it's coming out of sleep. And also, I don't know if it's going into sleep. Do you ever have them in your sleep?
I think I might have, like, before I had my first one awake, because I would wake up in the morning and I would notice, like, the sides of my mouth that were, like, I had bit down on them.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I just, like, slept weird and I just, like, slept and, like, but... I have a feeling that it was probably like I was having them in my sleep and then I had one awake. And then after that, like I think I went 6 months with not having another one again.
Yeah.
And then I had another one. And then after that, I continued having them like pretty much like every 6 months.
Wow.
And then my freshman year of college, when I was doing all that stuff, I had one like grand mal seizure every month of my first year, which was just
awesome.
like, yeah. It was I would like recover from the first one, and then I would have another one basically, and then I was like,
also in the morning.
Yeah.
So
I was like not sleeping well, and I would wake up. I was also working like morning shifts at I worked at a cupcake shop as like a barista and cupcake decorator for like a number of years. Yeah. So I would have to be up really early for those shifts because I would like work in the morning and then I would go to class in the afternoon. Because that was like the only time that made sense. Because at night I would be like usually rehearsing for like shows that I was in.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't have my evening. So I was like, my schedule was really packed. So I just didn't like sleep. Just wasn't an option.
Yeah.
Really. So that.
Stanzi, come on.
Sucked.
I know it sucks. I just love how independent you are. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. As a dad, I love it as an actor. I love your independence is just powerful, dude. You know what I mean? It just really is. And also, you just don't give a crap. I love that you talk about epilepsy on TikTok. Why not, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I always like anytime I talk about something that's like personal, because I don't try to give too much away about my personal life online, because I like to have it be mostly character based and about like what I have to offer as like an artist rather than me. But I do like to, you know, let people in a little bit, especially when it's something like that, because I have followers and stuff that will like see that and then they get excited that someone they know
Also has it.
has it and is doing like the stuff that I'm doing. Because I had a moment when I was in college where I was like, am I going to be able to like do what I want to do for a living if I can't get this under control? Because
And do you tell them?
yeah,
Is it like, all right, Stanzi, we want you to play this role of this sister in this movie, and she's really funny, and she's doing this and that and whatever, and you're like, look, I just want to let you know. It's like, why would you do that? You don't have to do that.
yeah,
If there's a flashing light situation or if there's something like that, then we always have this conversation. I always ask everybody on the show, I'm like, well, when do you and how much do you talk about it?
Yeah.
So we're encouraging people to not be afraid about it. And the other thing is that everybody's got something. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody says, oh, no, I don't, they're lying.
yeah.
You know,
I think like I think something I learned is that like a lot of people don't know like what it is actually, and so they'll be like, oh, is that the thing where you, and you're like, no, I don't know
Right.
what you're talking about.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or is that the thing where if you start having a seizure, somebody sticks something in your mouth to
Yeah,
No.
I'm like, no, not unless you want to like lose your fingers.
Where did
Like,
that start? What is that for? Is that for
So
something?
it started as an old wives' tale back in the day. You know, the day. I don't know. everybody
The
says that.
day.
Back
Yeah.
in the day.
I remember it.
Remember
like
that
it was
day?
yesterday.
Oh, that wasn't. It was kind of like 3 yesterdays ago. It's from believing that you can choke on your own tongue.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you know, you use the term grand mal, but we also use the term tonic-clonic, right? So it's a
Yeah.
tonic-clonic seizure. Tonic meaning all of your muscles get stiff. Your tongue is one of your strongest muscles.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
try pushing that back in your throat. It's not going to happen.
I have this conversation with like everyone when they ask about it. Because I think a lot of people still use grand mal, so I say it sometimes, but it's not actually the technical term for it anymore.
You know why? Grand mal, the big evil.
Oh, I mean,
That's why. That's what it used to be, where it's like you're possessed.
yeah.
That's where it comes from. So that's why doctors won't use it, and I use it sometimes because that's what people associate.
Yeah.
But tonic-clonic, people are like, what? They don't-
Exactly.
So
And then you
hopefully
have to
that
be
comes
like,
around.
well, technically, actually.
Coming up on Talk About It.
And then all of a sudden I was like, oh no. And it was so quick that I didn't have time to actually like prepare. And so I woke up already on the phone with my mom, trying to put the pieces together of what happened.
Yeah. I know we can all be down on social media. There are so many haters out there, bullies out there. They use social media as a just a barrier for, you know, so that they can be mean. There's no consequences. I can throw it out there and I don't care who it hurts. But guess what? Forgetting all of that crap, social media can be such a great tool to let people know that they're not alone, that there are other people out there that are just like them. I've always said you're not going to see a mirror, but you're going to see something in what someone else is going through, and you're going to relate to it, especially if you're going through something as well. And I've experienced that on my series, The Caregiver. You know, if you go to thecaregiverseries.com, thecaregiverseries.com, you will see all these people that are going through very similar situations that to you. But Stanzi, I think, is a prime example that social media can be a really powerful tool. She sucks you in because she's so funny. She's just, I don't know, I love her. And obviously, look at her numbers and how many people follow her. She's very, very popular, but she's using that tool to help others when she talks about, you know, the things that she's going through, and one of them being epilepsy. And it's just awesome. You can watch that, you can laugh about it. I mean, let's be honest, you got to use humor when it comes to a condition of any kind at sometime during your journey. Humor is what's going to get you through it, and she is that person that you can turn to and follow. If you're not following Stanzi Potenza, you must do it now. I'm sure you're already doing that. Listen to the rest of the podcast first. But thank you, Stanzi, for using this platform to let people know they're not alone and to give them a little something to laugh about. So COVID hits, and you're just like, I gotta get on camera. I gotta do, and it's also social media, whatever. How does this career start?
So right before like the pandemic like really hit, when people were still like, that's just a China virus. And it's the flu, and it's never gonna
Right.
be something that affects us.
The brilliant minds
Yeah.
that called it the China virus.
Yeah,
Anyway,
from Facebook. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So like right before that hit, I had started kind of posting a little bit, and I wasn't doing anything like I'm doing now. It was just be like me talking into the camera. And then I had 2 back-to-back videos go like mega viral. And I was like, whoa. And all of a sudden I went from having like a few followers. I was also like, I had started posting a lot more actually right before after I had that big seizure, I had to go to the epilepsy monitoring unit for like 10 days right before Christmas.
Oh.
So I was like in there and I was like, I'm just going to film random stuff like while I'm just in bed because I can't leave my bed for 10 days.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then like right when I got out, I had like 2 videos go mega viral.
Do you remember what those videos were?
Yeah, one of them was.
Can we bring it up? Maybe we can bring up one of those videos.
Oh, it's from so long ago.
She has a lot of videos.
I mean, you'd have to scroll like pretty much like all the way back.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
And maybe it was just me talking into like my like a window or no, a mirror. Like I was just doing a little thing.
Did you have the monitor on your head?
I was just had my phone out. I was just like talking into the camera, like into the mirror. And one of them was just a jab at my ex, kind of. And people were like, "Yeah, we hate men named Matt." And
That's awesome.
and so it's just like, and then the second one, I actually forget like what I was talking about. It was just 2 quick little things of me talking, and then that took me from like, I don't know, like maybe like a couple of hundred followers to then I had like 20,000 because of those 2 videos.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, if I just keep doing this, then I might be able to like.
Keep breaking up with Matt?
Yeah. This will show him.
So show him and I can make some money.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I'm also fascinated by, you might think something's funny and then you go, wait, maybe I can do this angle because I know that it's like your own personal analytics.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, that really works. So maybe I do it this way.
Yeah, I was trying to find out what kind of, if I was going to start making content, I was like, well, what kind of stuff am I going to make?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to edit videos or anything at that point. So then when the pandemic actually like hit and I was stuck at home.
This is the very beginning. These are the first videos.
Oh, so the one that has 1.1 and the one that has 2.2. Those
All
were
right,
the
let's see
2.
these.
All right, so let's watch the 1.1.
Ladies and gentlemen, quick announcement. We are leaving Men Named Matt in 2019. They no longer exist. They are no more. And if you or a loved one has ever been personally victimized by a man named Matt, you might be entitled to financial compensation. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay,
quick announcement.
dude. All right, let's just talk about that for a second. That's just funny. And again, from the freaking beginning,
Yep.
you're just, you know what I mean? There's so bad actors out there. I just did a post. I said, I'm really offended by prosecutors and police calling people bad actors because I've been working on that, being one of those for 30 years. I mean, don't just steal the title that I've been working for. So, okay, and you know what I mean? You see people and you go, and it's like, whatever, they do their thing, and that's how they do it. But it's just not authentic. I even watched that video, and I go, I want to cast her in something. I want to act with you.
Yeah.
Did you ever do Vine, or are you too young?
Oh, yeah.
I
that's a
miss
good
Vine.
question.
I was in high school when Vine was a thing, and I had posted like a couple, and then I deleted them because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I had like, it was like 15 seconds, and I was like, I have 15 seconds to do what exactly?
Right,
Thank
right,
you.
right.
Yeah, and so I was like, I was like, I don't know if this is for me, so I never did it, but I always wonder if I had gotten into it, if like something would have popped off,
Well, how long was that? That was short.
It was under a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say
They
40
can be.
seconds.
Like Vine was like, it started 6 seconds. I think they then extended to,
Right.
but it was like, you had to be.
It was really quick,
Yeah.
and I have it was hard enough for me to fit everything into 1 minute, because like I would write a script and be like, yeah, I think this will fit, and then it would end up being like 30 seconds longer than what it needed to be, so I'd have to like cut it down.
Yeah.
And that was a big challenge. So I really had to learn how to edit videos, because I was like, I had all the acting training, and I was writing like plays and stuff. So all I needed to do was get skilled at like the technical part of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think if I get this done, then I'll be able to accomplish what I want to
Yeah.
on this app. So it was like a slow progression of like downloading the different like apps for video editing that I needed to, and then like upgrading my, as I would get paid for videos. I started having like series that got really popular, and like people getting really invested in like different characters that I was
my
creating,
God, I love
especially
it.
during the 2020 election. That was like the big like moment for me where I was like, I made one of my most popular series then, and then because of all the election based content, people were just like, I was getting so much engagement from that. It would be like, and that's when I started hitting like the 200, 300, 400,000 like threshold, and then
that's not, and today now it's
yeah,
like crazy.
I'm like,
so wait, so
400,000. That's nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm like,
a
oh, you only have
failure.
400,000, loser. Yeah.
so okay, so you're doing these videos during COVID and they start blowing up.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, I can monetize this. I can make this. So this is supporting. This is your day job. This is what you're
Yeah.
doing, which is great. And then when did you decide to move out to California to pursue your dream?
Well, I moved to New York first.
Oh, okay.
So like once I was posting on TikTok, and then I got a lot of followers on TikTok, but TikTok wasn't paying very well. And then I started posting on Instagram a lot, and then Instagram blew up for me. And then my friend Hassan, who's also a content creator, was like, you have to start posting on YouTube. And I was like, oh, but that sounds so hard to like break into the algorithm. And he was like,
Yeah.
you just got to do it because that's where the money is. So then I started doing that like very consistently, like posting like a maniac on YouTube.
Would you post the same videos on all three?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So and now I do it all at the same time. So it's like I'll make a video and then all of it goes out at the same time.
That's great.
Like on all the platforms. But with YouTube, it was like I had to like take all those videos and download all those videos and then post them on YouTube, and then I was like reposting, and so and then finally like it hit, and then I got my first like YouTube paycheck basically, and I was like, well, I'm leaving, so goodbye,
Right,
Mom. Yeah, after like 26 years, I was like, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like really, it was crazy for like being at home for so long with my mom and our boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like moved out on my own in another state.
Are you the youngest?
I'm the middle.
You're the middle, like
Yeah.
me. So you're the neglected one, the
Yeah,
conniver.
they created a holiday for me because of that called Middle Child's Day.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they invented up a holiday for me, like my mom and my dad, because they were like, we feel bad for not paying attention to
Oh,
you. So
that's
one day a year,
hilarious.
you basically get like a second birthday.
Right.
And then my dad like was like, oh, I didn't ever liked it. And I was like, why? It was like a day about me. That's like that's great.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
was like, oh, it just felt like an excuse to kind of ignore you for the rest of the year. And I was like, well, I'm going to be famous now because I'm never going to forget that.
Right.
So,
Try ignoring this.
Yeah, yeah.
So have you made videos about being a middle child?
I haven't, but I did. I'm also like I do stand up now too. So like I
Great.
did incorporate that story on during one of my during my stand up shows that I had done in New York.
How did it do?
It was great. I think people were like, "Oh," but also like laughing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, it's okay to laugh. My
Right.
parents loved me. That wasn't like they didn't like shove me in a closet like Harry Potter.
Right.
It was fine.
I wasn't under the
fine.
stairs.
Yeah,
I was fine.
you're just the middle child.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just the whole thing.
So now you're out here, and are you open to shooting stuff? Like stuff that's like for a show that's not content wise. I mean, obviously you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
be cast in something.
Yeah.
But like, because I have ideas. I have this studio. I love what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'd love to do something together.
Oh yeah, I
it would
think
be so much fun.
it's the worst time to like be here. I guess now, like because of the strikes
Oh, yeah.
going on. But
But
eventually they'll.
but it's the best time to plot and scheme.
The best time to plot and scheme, yeah. And I love plotting and scheming.
So do I.
Yeah.
I mean, because then when the floodgates open,
yeah.
you're ready.
This is like I'm not stressed about it. I'm like, they're gonna once those strikes end and they get what they're looking for, then I do really want to
Are you in the
work.
union? Are you Screen Actors Guild?
I'm not. I'm eligible,
Oh, okay,
but
yeah.
I've been waiting because I was like, I don't know if I don't necessarily need to be a member right now because of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I was like right before I moved here, I got signed to like my dream agency, and then they got a manager for me, and so I have like a really amazing team now. That they want to
What
find
agency
me
are
like
you
work.
with?
UTA.
Great.
Yeah, and they're like amazing.
Yeah, they're great.
And I really wanted to be with UTA. So I was like, great, perfect. But now the strikes are happening. But I know that once that's over, like I'll have more opportunities.
Yeah, and you're also, again, the independence of it
Yeah.
all, which, Screen Actors Guild, all unions, they're going to come after creators and try to get you. Which,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which, by the way, I mean, to get insurance. So how do you handle that? Because medication.
Yeah,
and all
that
of
was the tough thing, was that like because I was now self-employed, like
Right.
I have to pay for insurance like out of pocket, so that was annoying. So when I was in New York, actually, I couldn't afford my medication, my epilepsy medication, because it was like a really specialty medication, and it would have cost me like $1,400 for a bottle.
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess I'm just gonna like wing it, because I was like, didn't have to be up very early because like I'm in charge of my own schedule.
Come on.
Oh, I know.
It's so hard.
It was, and I was like, okay, I don't have them that frequently, so I think I can maybe swing it. So I actually went a year without having one.
Wow.
But then when I was moving here, my sleep got a lot worse leading up to the move, and then moving is so stressful, and moving across the country is like so stressful.
Yeah.
And I had
Especially with your mom going,
I know.
go!
She's like, don't leave. I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Right.
Even though we weren't even living together at that time, she
Right.
just didn't want me to be on the other side of the country. I was like, I don't
Of
see
course.
you.
And were you
anyway.
moving out to live with somebody? Because this. Okay, so
Yeah.
here we go. This is the independence conversation that all parents and anybody that has epilepsy that deals with it thinks about is, what happens if you have a seizure when you're living alone?
Yeah.
So right now you don't live with anybody.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you're back on your meds. So you
I am.
you'd moved back here. You were not, and and the move was stressful. When did you decide? All right, I gotta get back on.
I wanted to be. I never wanted to be off of it,
Right.
but I was just like, but I knew that like I had like an aura before in like December, and I was like, oh no, I haven't had one of these in like I think 4 years, and then
Describe that.
it starts with like confusion, and I'm just kind of like it's like I'm trying to think of a word, but I can't think of the word, and then that leads me to try thinking of another word, and then all of a sudden it's just this like racing thought
And
situation.
that is the form that the seizure takes. So because people get auras and then they get seizures.
Yeah.
So it's like a warning.
Yeah.
Was that it for you, or it was just the aura?
It was just, sometimes I'll just have the aura. Sometimes I'm like almost able to like talk myself out of having a full-blown seizure. If I'm like able to like really focus on like not getting, I guess, like lost in the like thought, like I guess it's like, it's kind of weird.
You're just sort of controlling yourself.
Yeah. Like I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna like sit here and try to focus on not the brain stuff. And then sometimes it'll just like fizzle out. And this one almost didn't. It got like I get like visuals sometimes, so I'll see like rainbow out of one of my eyes, and then like
That's just because you're so friendly with the gay community.
it's just
That's
like
what that is.
Yeah, it's just the queer,
The queer, appreciation, glow. But okay, so that, and then you had a seizure.
I didn't have a full-blown seizure then. I was like, I called my mom and I was just like, I just had like an aura that was really crazy, and then that actually happened at night, and I think it was just because of my like sleep being so bad, like so poor, leading up to this move.
Yeah.
So it was like 2 days before I moved across the country. I went out and I had coffee with a friend of mine that I hadn't met before, but I wanted to see her before I moved. We got coffee. I came back home. I like ordered food, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh no. And it was so quick that I didn't have time to actually like prepare myself. So I woke up.
And this was not at home because you weren't living at home.
I was living in like my own apartment in New York. And so I woke up and I had been on the bed when it happened. And so I woke up on the ground sitting against my bed, and I was already on the phone with my mom. So I had already, in the confusion of like what, like in the
That's
state,
interesting. Postictal, you called your mom.
I called my mom during postictal, having no memory of like, because she's always, anytime I have a seizure, she's always the first thing that comes to my mind of being like, even if I'm not living with her, I know she's not there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be calling out for her and trying to get a hold of her.
Yeah.
So I was crying, and I was already on the phone. I had already been on the phone talking to my mom.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I like was like, oh, I guess I had a seizure kind of, and I'm like looking around kind of at like trying, I think it's like, I'm sure Jake probably experiences like the trying to put the pieces together of what happened.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, the bed, the night table was pushed against the wall. So I must have fell off the bed, pushed the night table against that. And then like eventually after the seizure was done, like got myself up and leaned against the bed. And I was like, oh man. So
Nick, I mean, just think about this for a second. And I will be done praising you after this. I promise you. But it's just very courageous to go through life knowing it could happen.
yeah,
Not worrying about it, but being cautious about it.
Yeah.
Do you drive?
no,
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't need to.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Jake's the same thing. Jake's just like, whatever. I take Lyft. I take Uber. I do
exactly,
whatever.
yeah.
It's no
And
big
people
deal.
always ask, and I'm just like, I don't think it's necessary. I work from home,
Yeah.
you know, so if I need to get around, then I'll take a car.
Yeah.
Like I'm lucky enough that I can afford to take Ubers
Yeah.
where I need to go.
Everybody's situation is different, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, your own situation doesn't stop you from doing anything. It doesn't define you, but you use your platform that is so funny and so smart. By the way, and this is what I mean when I say, I look at it and I go, God, you're a really good actor, because that crosses over. I'll look at you and I don't go, well, she's just a content creator. She's just a TikToker. I go, no, I want to put her in a movie. Like, I want to play your dad. I want to do something with you. It's fun. I mean, you're really, really talented.
Thank you.
And you know how to edit, and you know how to do all that stuff. So even something small, I would do something that's fun, you know? Just to wrap up how, and I hate to use this word, but I'm really proud of you, man.
Thank you.
I am. I love what you're doing. I support it 1,000%. I'm here for you now. We're friends. I'm never letting
hell
you go.
yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, of
that's
course.
it. And
Yeah.
you're in my city, so let's go. All I'm saying is I really am just so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And what I love is that you don't, again, doesn't define you, doesn't define your work, but you are proud enough and strong enough to talk about it, and you do it in such a great way that it's not off-putting. So the message is out there, but it's part of who you are. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This
You're
is great.
the worst guest ever. I love you. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of Talk About It. Remember, we're all human. We're all dealing with something, and a little compassion every day can change so many lives. Thank you to our special guests. Special thanks to our sponsor, seizuresaresigns.com. Thank you to J.J. Abrams for our theme music. Thank you to Nick Marzak for producing, directing, editing, and incidental music. On behalf of my fellow producers, Phil Gattone, Ken Lohenberg, and Nick Marzak, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you're not watching, go to talkaboutitonvideo.com to watch these episodes. They're now on video as well. I'm Greg Grunberg. Don't forget to talk about it, and I will see you next time. This podcast is a production of the Talk About It Company.